guys, it's Kylie from Cantrips Media. Today we're going to talk about the rule of cool. What is it? How do you implement it? And what should you watch out for? So let's dive in. First, help a nerdy girl out and subscribe to the channel. You know you wanna. What is the rule of cool? Essentially, it's an optional decision or rule that allows the DM to forego the suspension of disbelief for a really cool moment. You forget reality for a second and remember you're playing a game. It's essentially taking the rules and just being a little bit more flexible for the sake of storytelling. Okay, but how do you implement that? Well, the first key thing is to remember to use it sparingly. You want to encourage your players to be creative, but you don't want to break the game. That could make it frustrating for other players or just simply unplayable. So if you're determining whether or not you should allow your players to do that cool thing, think about these questions. Will it break the game, and is it repeatable? If a player can continuously do this item, is it really that cool or unique of a moment? If a player is continuously using this to forego a rule, that's now borderline abuse. Remember that the rules are there for a reason. They were created to keep a balanced game so that every player and even the DM has fun with it. If you forego too many of those rules, it'll be unbalanced and frustrating for everybody. Can you use a skill check to reasonably accommodate it? If you can apply a skill check to whatever impossible feat your players are asking of you, that means a couple of things. One, it makes the skill check cooler, because now there's a chance that it can fail. Especially if you as the DM select a really high difficulty challenge, a high DC, and they still roll that natural 20, it makes the moment a little bit cooler. It also means it most likely won't break the game, as it's not as easily repeatable. Because again, you're adding that element of chance to the action that your players are asking for. But also, just remember that because someone rolls really high doesn't mean they perform the act perfectly. Even if someone rolls a natural 20, they could still fail in a small way. For instance, when that monk jumps from rock to rock as a wall they were standing on is crumbling down, they still might take a little bit of damage, but land in a cool way. When was the last time I used the rule of cool? Again, you want to use it sparingly. If every moment in the game is a cool moment, are there any cool moments? Now this might be hard to remember, but if you do something like buy a really cool DM journal that I have in my shop, shameless plug, then you'll be able to write down exactly when that last moment happened and keep track of it. You want to make sure you're not overusing this rule. And lastly, is your party cool with the rule of cool? Now this is one that you can deal with in a session 0, which doesn't have to be at the beginning of your campaign. A session 0 can be thrown in at any point that you want to re-evaluate homebrew rules or anything, and it doesn't have to take a full session. So talk to your players. If you're looking for tips on running a session 0 and what kind of questions to ask in a session 0, I have a video all about that I'll link to. Just remember that some players want to stick strictly to the rules. They came to play Dungeons and Dragons. They don't want to modify the rules. They just want to learn it by the books. And that is perfectly okay. So make sure your whole party is on board so you know how to implement it, but there are some things you need to watch out for. The big one is favoritism. Sharing the spotlight is also something I need to create a video for. It's important that not all the cool things happen to one player. Now one player is doing all those cool things. Your party is full of heroes. They're all capable of doing badass things. So you need to make sure that you're giving each player a chance to do that. What I've seen happen is there's one player who's a little bit more talkative, who knows exactly what they're going to do every single time, and they try to push that boundary every time they play the game. That's perfectly fine, and it does add a lot to the gameplay, but it can be discouraging for players who are a little bit more introverted, who maybe aren't as comfortable role-playing, who are new to the game. Occasionally, tell that talkative player, no, you've bent the rules for that player enough as it is. And then, after saying no to that player, take a look at your quiet player and ask them what they want to do. Prompt them a little bit to get them in the mindset of actually offering up a cool moment. Now they might not have something right away. If they seem to stumble in the spotlight, pull the spotlight back away from them to give them a chance to think about it a little bit. But you have to present opportunities sometimes for those quiet players. Watch out for overusing and taking away the risks of your campaign. Using the rule too much makes it boring. You want to sprinkle in the cool moments as they fit with the storytelling. You want to make sure that the moment is actually going to be memorable. And remember that not every moment is going to be memorable. Also, overuse can take the stakes away from the game. If players start to think they can do anything, they start to feel invincible, which makes combat lackluster and takes away from the overall enjoyment of most of your encounters. You don't want your players to think that no harm can come to them. Prove that mentality wrong. Watch out for using the rule of cool as an excuse to not know the rules. Yeah, there's a lot of rules. That's why there are like 3 books about it. But both you and your players need to learn them. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make an excuse every once in a while and fudge the rules as you go occasionally, but you want to make sure that your game is consistent. That's why the rules are there. If you don't have consistency, your players will stop trusting you, and that means that next decision you make might be met with argument. They don't believe you made a fair judgment call. Do use the rule of cool to fudge the rules if you believe that spending the time to look up the actual rule will take away too much from gameplay. Just be careful, you don't want to do this all the time. And make sure you write it down and look up the rule later. Thanks everybody for watching. If you liked that video, hit the subscribe button so I can continue to be a nerd on the internet. Leave a comment down below about what you want to see next. If you don't want to buy all of the cool products I have at Cantrips Media, but you still want to support the channel in a small financial way, consider going to Ko-fi. Ko-fi will allow you to give me a one-time donation, which will help me with my horrible caffeine addiction as I run so many things like the shop and this channel and the marketing and the finances and the journal making. That list goes on forever. So send me a couple bucks and I'll use it to buy coffee or more dice, because everyone needs more dice. Jokes, I actually use anything that is donated through my Ko-fi for new tools like this camera that we're actually filming on, and as well as tools for just journal making in my shop and to invest in things that I need for new product ideas. So anything that you donate there actually helps with the shop to create new things for you guys to enjoy. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys. Watch out for using the rule of cool. Let's not move this hand as much.